Guys ready? The New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law was enacted to ensure the rights of the public have advance notice of and to attend meetings of public bodies of which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of the Act, the Belvidere Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted in the Star Ledger and Express Times and submitted to the Town Clerk, Town of Belvidere, January 8th, 2018. Please rise for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Blum? Here. Mrs. Chapino? Here. Dr. Zuppet?
Here.
Mrs. Furman?
Here.
Mr. LeBar?
Here.
Mr. Lucas? Here. Mr. Matlaw?
Here.
Mr. McInerney?
Here.
Mr. Mitchell?
Here.
Mr. Rader?
Here.
Mr. Smith?
Here.
We reached part of our agenda for public participation. Do we have any participation from the public this evening? Yes, Marianne.
I hear you have an opening. I just found out minutes ago. I guess I'd like to throw my hat in the ring. I don't know if I do anything official. Now they don't have school on Wednesdays.
Thank you. We did advertise. We've advertised, Shelley, correct me, more than once.
Yes, since before Christmas.
On the website as well and on the signboard. There's a big part, Mary?
I'm just talking on the signboard. I never saw.
Okay. Is anyone interested in proceeding with Mary Ann's nomination to the board?
I'm nominating Diane Benedek to the school board.
Do we have a second?
I second.
Discussion?
Where's her hat? She said she wanted
She unfortunately left her Eagles hat at home this evening,
I'm
Brian.
not wearing Eagles hat. I'm from New Jersey. That's enough. My favorite team who's ever played.
Hat discussion aside, any other questions, discussion? Mary Ann, you're, I'll just speak for myself, I'm not speaking for the board. I think you're a terrific board member when you were on the board. Yeah, that's right. We're trying to solve a problem here. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Mary Ann, why don't you come out and take a seat? we want to take care of this before you change your mind. Oh, we need to take your oath. That's right. You need to take your oath. You do need to.
You're not allowed to ask any questions tonight, though. Tonight you have to be.
That's right. That's what I said. Looks like you.
I, Marianne Stephan, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey, and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same and to governments established in the United States and this state under the authority of the people. So help me God. I, Marianne Stephan, do solemnly swear that I possess the qualifications prescribed by law for the office of member of the Board of Education, and I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all the duties of that office according to the best of my ability, so help me God.
Welcome back, Mary Ann.
This was
See, that's what happens when you show up at a Board of Education meeting. Do we have other questions from the public this evening? Anybody else interested in being on the Board of Education? Yes.
No to the second one, but yeah, I just want to know, is this the time where we get to provide input for things like this, the initiative, the achievement initiative, or is that discussion?
It'd probably be more appropriate to have it in the second public participation. Chris and I will do some presenting in a few minutes on it, so maybe can answer a lot of the questions you may have, or just get a sense, and then when we come back to that second, at the end of the meeting, might be a more appropriate time.
That would be
Yep.
Other questions from the public? No? Correspondence?
I do have two letters. The first says, this is This letter is my official notification that I will be resigning my teaching and co-curricular positions at the end of the 17-18 school year for the purpose of retirement. It has been my pleasure to have had the opportunity to do a job that I loved in such a great place for the past 40 years. I appreciate the support that the administration and board has given me and the Ag Ed program, and know that my successor will be given the same. Sincerely, Brian Lang. And I have an additional letter.
You might want to summarize that one.
This is a maternity leave letter from Jamie Gallock. She has an expected due date of March 29th, 2018. So she's requesting that her maternity leave beginning of spring break, April 9th of 2018, and that she's looking to return by May 21st, 2018.
Thanks, Shelley. Anything else? The only thing I would like to comment, I'm sure others would, Mr. Lay, I mean, certainly lots of contributions throughout the years. And the one thing that's always impressed me about him is he turns out for things. You see him at NHS inductions. You see him at the NHS inductions for Oxford Street. You see him at a lot of sporting events, plays. He's out, and I think it's just reflective of who he is and his contributions, his commitment to the district. Superintendent's report.
Okay, I got a few things, and we're going to finish with Chris and I, and actually more Chris than I. We'll talk a lot about our comprehensive school designation, and certainly yesterday, if you saw the article rating the school, we got a very low rating, so Chris is going to talk a little bit about that. But before we go to that, just wanted to comment on Monday night's Wall of Fame induction ceremony. First of all, thanks to Chris and Carol Lee Gately and the high school advocates for all the hard work that they did. I thought it was an outstanding ceremony. I was really impressed with the turnout that we had here Monday night, with a lot of friends and family of the inductees, and I just thought it was a wonderful event and really represented the district well. So thanks to everybody that was involved. Quick plug for our drama club. Tomorrow night is their annual Soup and a Song fundraiser. So if tomorrow night you're chilly and you're looking for some good entertainment, come on by and you will get some pleasant songs being sung. I saw the list of who's singing what, so I can attest that they will be quite good. I can't attest to the quality of the soup because I haven't tasted it, but usually very good. Third thing that I have is on our personnel list, which we did not get an opportunity to talk about in personnel, is I am recommending for Mr. Pete Angus a rate of $180 per day. Pete is filling in currently for Chris Artcoil. Chris unexpectedly had to take an extended leave of absence. Luckily for us, Pete was actually on our sub list, and he's a former art teacher. However, Pete is actually doing quite a bit of work, grading, lesson plans, obviously a little bit more in depth than a regular substitute assignment, so we felt it was appropriate to bump Pete up to a little bit more fair of a rate. So we'll be asking for that bump for Pete. I've been trying to get together the strategic planning group. Have gotten not great responses so far, so I'm going to go out and again and try to do a little bit more. The principals put stuff up on their Twitter page. We've had stuff on the main web page to try to get that process going, but we have had very little response so far, so we'll keep beating the drum. So if you know anybody that's interested in strategic planning, have them contact the office. And then finally, before we go into the presentation, I do want to just comment on Brian's retirement, Mr. Lay. I agree with your comments, Sean. I think to me, what makes Brian such a special teacher is nothing that was accomplished in this district was done so by Brian, and Brian will be the first to tell you that. It was all done by his kids. And if you know Brian, if you've ever been to an FFA dinner, it's not about Brian for 1 second. It is 100% about his students. And he is a tireless worker, as you said, Sean. He's at very many events, and he truly gives every bit of who he is for his students, and he will be greatly missed. And on a personal level, I consider Brian a good friend, and also he was a mentor when I first got here as principal of the building. So his service is much appreciated, and he will be greatly missed. With that being said,
also extremely well regarded in Trenton. You know, the FFA people are like 50 feet from my cube, and they love him. Yeah. He's a great guy. He's been a great leader for agriculture, and they're when I tell them that he's not going to be with us, they're probably going to be very sad to hear that. Happy he's retiring, but they love him in Trenton.
Not surprising. Yeah.
We just said before, the program has been around for about 80 years, and we've had 2 teachers. So that's I don't know where else you can find something with such quality and success over
Staying
the course of
power,
the year.
yeah.
Over the years. So, so it'll be a tough job trying to replace him, but we'll be up for it. So now more onto the big picture. If you look out, and Chris, if you're ready to jump in, I mentioned briefly at the last meeting that the Oxford Street School was designated as a comprehensive school in need, which we knew was going to be the case because of our park scores and how our performance was on that. Chris attended a couple of meetings and has gotten a lot more information as to that designation. Yesterday in the Star Ledger, they ranked all the schools on a scale of 1 to 100, and Oxford Street received the score of very low 3.3. And there's a lot to that. So Chris, I'm going to kind of turn it over to you. You can talk a little bit about where we are, where we're going, and anything else you may want to add.
We gotta just, I know I just got back on here, I'm sorry, but I don't know that I understood what I heard. Out of 1 to 100 possible, we got a 3.3?
Yep.
Correct. We were going to explain it from this sheet right here. How
Okay,
specifically
I
we got-
thought I missed something.
No,
You did not.
did not.
So I'm going to explain, it's broken down into 3 categories how we got our score. I'm going to start in the bottom right-hand corner. 1 is school quality, which is specifically chronic absenteeism. 2 at the top is participation rate and achievement. Achievement is number 2. And academic progress. 15% of our score was from school quality and chronic absenteeism. 35%, 17.5 and 17.5% is achievement, which is participation and our scores themselves put together for 35%. And their academic progress on how we did, pretty much going from a 1 to a 2, a 2 to a 3, moving up the chain. We were 1 to a 2 and a 4 to a 5 on how you improve and you progress from 15 to 17, okay? If you look at our chronic absentee in the bottom right-hand corner at 18.2%, I do have to, easiest way to explain this, we have our student information system of Genesis, and we had coding reporting to the state in the area of every time a kid left early. This is K-12, this is not just 4A. Every time a student left early, every time a student went on a field trip, every time that they went on a college visit. When the state report was run, it reported as a full-day absence, okay? For example, beginning of the year when we ran it this year, before we corrected was 23, the high school went to a 9, Oxford Street went from 7.21 to a 7.2. And these numbers for 16, 17 were reported to the state. Does that make sense? So we literally, this 18.2, which we got crushed on, out of our 3.3, we got a 0.735 point towards that 3.3 from chronic absentee. That's how much we got over 50%. Crushing. Okay? Any questions on that? Yes. Is that, I'll present and then I'll field questions at the end. That's okay. So the chronic absentee at Oxford Street right now is 7.2%. Tomorrow we have 6 students who are at that 10% threshold. They all show up, that's 6 more kids off, we're probably like 4%. So that is all the charts for next year because we corrected the student information formula in Genesis. And that was K-12. Even if you look at the high school, they got chronic absentee, they probably moved way up in the county if that was fixed last year in 16-17. So you look at our score, if you, I don't know what their score was for the 15% with their indicator score, but they would bump up as well, just by fixing that one. Okay? And I don't know how that was discovered. Okay. Our next is achievement, which is participation rate and academics of the test. First time in 2017, all the opt-outs counted as a not proficient 1. Okay? So if you look at our last year's 6th grade, we had an increase of 1s and 2s of 48%. 7th grade was a 20% increase. Last year's 30% of our 6th graders opted out, 20% of our 7th graders opted out. And they all went in as 1s. And then if you go our indicator score, like I said, I looked at how our indicator score came about, but it's an 8.6 for language arts, which gives us a 1.5 that went towards that 3.3 score. That was, and our math indicator score was a 4.6, and 0.8 went towards 3.3. Okay, because you can see how the increase, and that is directly correlated to our progress, which is 50%. Because we had such an increase in 1s and 2s, and such a decrease in 4s and 5s, because of, I think we had, like, across the board was almost, 18% opt-out by grade level and progress, the number of kids opting out by grade level, and going to 1 was a huge increase for us. And with a small population, it crushed our schools. And the last is academic progress, which is 50%. And language arts, our indicator was a 0.5 times that 1.25. It's at 0.125 towards our 3.3 score. And math was a 0.4, multiplied out as a 0.1. I got a 3.26, the state gave us a 3.3. They rounded up for us. Simple fixes, if Park stays around, we have it fixed with chronic absenteeism, done, over. Okay? I made calls to the parents. I even had a parent who I called before we fixed the formula. Their child was 12% absent. When we fixed the formula, they came in, they were 0% because they were going out for a medical treatment. The doctor was only open till 3:30. Okay? For the opt-outs, I did make phone calls home to parents and say, I talked to 6 parents who were told to me that we need to get these parents on board to take the test. I called them, spoke with them. I got a mixed response of, you guys want us to take the test? To one kid will take the test till for a Facebook post that we're going to still opt out. We're a whole team here. We're trying to get everybody on our team, whether they like the test or not. It's just reflecting poorly on us, all of us. And that's why I provided the bigger picture of Oxford Street.
Can we just hold on a second? If you don't stop, Chris, we'll go through it. Just want to comment on the opt-outs in this year and how that's going to work. And Chris and I have had this conversation. We have major concerns going forward this year because the governor has strongly indicated that we will be, at some point, not taking the Park assessment. My guess would be that sometime will not be this year, since we have a contract with Pearson and we're going to pay them the money anyway. But there's really no recourse to not take the assessment at this point. K 3 to 8, high school it's still part of the graduation requirement, so therefore we can quote unquote force the kids to take it. It's an issue for them. But 3 to 8 it's not, and I would suspect we would have higher rates of opt-outs this year because the governor has said he's going to do away with it, or at least modify it. Our hope is that that happens much sooner than later.
And this is, when I went to the one meeting, I was fortunate enough to sit by the guy who does all the data and the formulas of all the indicator scores. My simple question was to him, and this is an off-the-record question, I said, are we better off having kids just take the test so it increases our participation and just put their name on it and guess? Because we're getting the ones anyway. You know, and I said that to a bunch of people, exactly what I should say. Like going back to the old SAT approach, if you don't know, guess C. You know, and he's like, yeah, at least your participation rate of the indicator score will increase. Because we're getting hit for the ones for not proficient, and we're getting hit for the non-participation in the indicator results. So it's a double whammy to us for not taking the test. And for us, it's like, and the silver lining is because we did poorly, they're going to give us money. You know? They're going to give us $43,000 of money that was going to, you know? And I'm like, and the thing is, we're going to revamp our home math curriculum that we're going to do anyway, but now we're going to use different money. And the kids will get more resources and improve our plan moving forward. So the silver lining is that. But the thing is, the two easy fixes are, I'm not going to say easy fixes. We have the one fix with the chronic absence system fixed. The other one is have a meeting scheduled for February 28th. All those parents that I called and a personal invite to come and discuss, can we all get on the same team? If you look at the little chart at the top of this page, I don't know, where it's like the Park and Outward School. All we do is have to find some common ground where it's blank. Just some common ground between which is the park, the parent, and the school, and the community. It's not a school versus the test. It's like, it's just getting parents on, whether it's here or not, it's going to count against us if they opt out, period. In the past, it has not. Now it does. And I didn't realize that, because I'm looking at the scores, I'm like, how could our 6th graders be performing that much poorer from 15, 16 to 17 until he went to, they're ones now. That is what, and we went back and forth and had the discussions of what is it until we found out that now they count as one. Okay? And all I did is put this together, and I'm glad Mary Ann's here, because this whole thing, if you remember back, right when I was just AD, when I was only AD, I remember sitting at this meeting and listening to Mary Ann say something about the movings of the schedule and all of this stuff.
The whining of Mary Ann?
Yeah, but then the thing is, when I sat in the principal's seat, it made sense. So when it was August 29, 2016, I had my first faculty meeting, I said, guys, the schedule's going to change. That was my first meeting. They were probably like, who is this guy? And I sat down. I think our first personnel meeting was November 11th, where I made my first proposal to the curriculum. If they were on there, you know the process they went through with all the presentations, all of this. But this is it. This is what it is today. Now it's an actual document. And if you look at the increases in educational time, I'm not talking time to prepare for tests. I'm talking about time that things on the back that provide a wide range of education for kids in Oxford Street. You know, so we came up with increasing math for algebra kids 120 minutes a week, for 4 to 8 math students 160 minutes a week, a math lab for algebra kids, supplementals of IXL, first in math, an increase of recess, 100 minutes of recess a week. And that came from this input suggestion from an open session earlier this year. We made that adjustment.
Where did that 380 minutes that you added in come from?
Right. It came from our 21st century skills, which was 5 days a week, or 5 days a week of phys ed and health. Because we were getting double the amount of physical education time and 21st century time as we were in math. So what we did is pulled from there, added recess, gave 3 a week, and added it in. And then we even put an activity period in at the end of the day. So when you talk about imploding a schedule, and not only that, we put everything through the student information system. So now if you look down below, or you look on the back, first week, now I can pull teacher prep schedules. I pull professional development the first week of every week. I can contractually do it more, but we pull preps to do professional development during the school day. And that's what's nice in this with the teachers that come in, because it's not all the same content area based on prep periods. And if you look at even future ready at the bottom, we're prepping to be a future ready school. So this is Oxford Street. This, I can't say it is, okay? But this is what the public sees. And it infuriates me, actually. We can't argue with 3.3. I say, oh, a formula in the student information system, yeah, okay. But it's that.
Do we know if there's any other formulas in the student information system we need to investigate?
It's a good question.
It's a great question.
Listen, I wish I knew before. So I'll tell you what, it's like, and let me tell a story, because I like to talk. Okay?
I just let it go, by the way.
I
I
ran the report, and I'm looking at it, and I said, Sue, all the parents of the chronically absent kids. And she looks at my report, she goes, okay, and she goes, because I can see how it goes unnoticed, because when you're looking at the absentees on the absentee page, it shows as 4. And this is just an example. Chris, your report says 8 for the chronic report. And I'm looking at it like, but there's 4 tardies or leave. I was like, that can't be. So we put in a JIRA, which is to Helen, put in a JIRA, right, to Genesis, to run what is going on, why is this happening. Something is tardies, it's late, I don't know, I can't piece it all together. Because I didn't know there were actual codes in the system. I didn't know that. And then she got the report at the same time I talked to Jess McKinney. Like, Jess, what do you think? She's like, it can't be tardies. And then she's like, as soon as we got the JIRA back, she's figuring out it's early dismissals. I mean, it's literally like that. It was like, I was like, and talking with Sue, I was like, it cannot be this easy. You don't think it, and then the holiday break went on, and I'm thinking about it, and I came back, and it was that easy. It was almost shocking.
See, now, can I tell my part of the story, which I love to tell?
Apparently you weren't in the story.
So back in October, I came back from a county meeting, and we had this conversation about the state and how they're reporting attendance. And I said, please do me a favor and check how you're reporting all your attendances, because the state is noticing that
but there's codes that you just don't know about.
Just don't know about.
Yeah.
So it worked out. It worked out well. Because what happened was we'd assumed that because we had a couple of students that were chronically absent
Correct.
over 80 days, that
Correct.
we thought that that's what skewed that number up.
And that's where
Which made sense.
Correct, it was not, and we were targeting the kids who were absent a lot of days instead of, like, you could have 6 kids who were absent 60 days. They're not gonna show up in the chronic absentee report. It's the number of kids absent 10% or more, so it's 18 days or less that you need the kids to be in school. You know, and then all those formulas were changed, everything was good.
Back to the question though, do we know if there's any other formulas that are incorrect? I like the story, but I don't want to hear another one
I know,
next year.
right? Do I? On attendance, I can say with 100% certainty. These guys have heard about it for how long? I was walking the halls talking about it. But no. But the thing is, there's one thing, and this is my disappointment, and I would say me, is like the things in education you have control of, screwed it up, should have been fixed earlier, which would not have, we would not show up there. We would be a target school for a while.
Is that where you mean?
It's been in place since Genesis has been in place. Yeah, and it's one of those things, and I said to Chris in a lot of ways, Chris is unfortunately, of all the administration now and that's been here, he's the biggest target because of the way the park assessment works. Brian's got it easy because it's only third grade, and we don't have enough third graders take it for him to qualify for any score. The high school has a bunch of different safeguards in place. Chris is the one that gets hit. So if the good thing is, as Chris said, silver lining, one is the money, and the second thing is that by going to a meeting with the state, we're able to work that out. Because I don't think if Chris went to the meeting down and it was in East Orange at the beginning of January, we wouldn't have been able to piece that together.
It makes you look at things a lot differently. And all of this, and this is the part that I'm very confident with, and hopefully teachers will agree. All of this was happening not because of a test result, but just for the best interest of the kids. And now you're like, okay, we did some good things. Then the test results came out, okay, look at the amount we increased education, the technology, the STEM time, the things that certain teachers are doing. So this is what represents our teachers. And I guarantee you we will be increased from 3.3.
So Chris, you talked about things we can control.
Right.
One of the root causes is something we cannot control, and that is the opt-outs.
Right.
And so maybe you can talk a little bit more about what our strategies are going to be to try to, for parents to understand that. And listen, parents make decisions. I get that, but there are consequences to those decisions, and when they're counted basically as a one, it does reflect really poorly on the district, on the town, on what we're trying to accomplish here.
The initial thing that I did was call them. And it's like literally talking to a small town, who should I call? Here's my list. Everybody I talked to, there's people here that I called and spoke to, and I did get a mix. That was number one. Number two, I sent a letter out to say what the comprehensive school was. And number two, I put an invitation to everybody in there that we were having a meeting of the parents specifically towards opt-outs and our improved scores on February 28th. Coincides with the board meeting, was going to be the 14th, but I said, I want to be with my wife on Valentine's Day, so I pushed it back to February 28th. Come together and discuss it, because we're on the same team. That's the whole part. It's like, I get the opt-outs did not count before, now they do. There's real, people are looking at Belvidere, Oxford Street School.
What was the reason they gave you for opting out? Did you get any?
I got, the one, like I said, and the thing is, social media is beautiful, but yet not. And somebody in this room actually, I said, I don't want to hear any of the social media, and somebody quick screenshot it of a parent I called, post it right away, we're winning, this is working, keep going, let's do it, keep opting out.
The initial, I think, from our point of view and what we've heard, the initial discussion as to why opt out, one was it's an quote unquote, it's an expensive test, which I don't think anybody would disagree with. But for us, the amount of money that we've already invested into it's beyond being a cost issue for us at this point. Second is, when it initially came out, it was also time prohibitive. It was a long test taken in two very different time frames, where I don't want to say the state or the Pearson folks that run it realized that we need to streamline that. So now it's generally we have it wrapped up in less than a week, and it's not full days. And it's
like especially having the one-to-one Chromebooks, every kid be tested at the same time, it's go.
Right.
But like I said, if it's against the test, give us the participation rate, guys. I mean, a lot of kids do it anyway.
Nobody really opted out of like the NJS or any of those tests, so
You-
why are they opting out of
See,
this
because here,
one?
the interesting thing was the state wouldn't allow it.
Here's my concern,
Yeah.
question I have. So with Park, they're just deciding number one. You have to take some kind of national recognized test for federal funding.
Correct.
Correct. And we have to have a specific student population take that assessment, correct?
Correct.
To get to get the federal funding. So where do we fall in that realm, especially what we're just talking about right now or earlier about the governor saying, oh, we may not be doing park in the future. So are we looking at possibly teetering and crossing that line whereby having too many people opt out to where we are now going to not be receiving federal funding?
So it's a really good question, but I think right now the number that the state put in as to what the percentage would be was strategically, I don't want to say low enough because I don't sound like it's a super low number, but if you say 60% is participation rate or 70, you're likely going to get that. Keep in mind, while for us, 25 kids opting out is almost 20%, 25 Belvidere kids opting out of the whole state of New Jersey is certainly less than a percentage point. You understand?
Okay, so it doesn't go by school.
It does not go by school. It's going to go by the population that
The
that
aggregate.
the state has.
It's the aggregate.
Correct. So it's the population that the state has. Now,
Can the state withhold from us?
the state can withhold from us, but the double-edged sword that the state faces is the state will not support. If we want to put a policy together saying that if you have a 1 on your assessment or opt out, we won't put you in a higher math class. The state won't support that. The commission, in fact, will strike that right down and say, no, that doesn't go. High school, it works again because it did become a graduation requirement. Because we've talked about that. If students technically are not proficient in a 1 in 7th grade math, how do we in good conscience put that student in 8th grade? Now, we're in a small district. We know the kids, so we know who can perform at that level. But at the same time, the quote-unquote data exists, shows that it's a point. And to me, your point is really well taken in the sense of there's going to be a test. Whether it's PARC, whether it goes back to the old NJ Ask, whether it's some sort of combination of that, the question is what is that going to look like? I say all the time, from an administrator's point of view, I like the PARC assessment. I think it gives a lot of solid data that we can use in the classroom to support what we do and how to shape programs. Way better than the NJ Ask ever was. It also comes in an extremely timely fashion. It works with the kids and what our kids are able to do just in the technology point of view too. And I think initially that was the big piece of it too. And some of the concern is my kid does not work well on a computer. And I say it all the time, if there's 1,000 kids in this district, 996 of them work really well on computers. And that's just reality, So, but those are things that are done at a higher pay grade than us, as we always like to say. And we're just we're at the mercy of what the state decides to do for the short term, which, to our knowledge, is PARC is full speed ahead, at least for the 2018 testing cycle.
Is it true that this freshman class right now, that is their fraction? There's no more?
There's no more of the ors, as I used to call them, this or this or this.
Right,
You're
this
passing the
freshman
PARC
class.
assessment, correct.
So do they? Because
Or a portfolio assessment.
They're given a choice.
If-
The state
this-
gives us a choice.
This is the thing I learned when I went to one of the meetings. If they opt out of 7th, 8th grade PARC, they do not have the option of a portfolio.
Right.
They do not have the option.
I think that's.
Right.
stuff
If
is
they opt out
very-
7th or 8th grade,
I think that's
they-
a good approach for parents to know.
yes, they will understand. And those are the things we'll go over to the 28th. Like you opt out 7th, 8th grade, there's no option of a portfolio if you don't pass
So
the PARC.
one thing that may be helpful is, and I know people are really busy and they don't spend a lot of time reading things, maybe just a simple fact sheet. And putting that on a fact sheet, putting that on our prominent on our website, and then also sending that home to those parents.
Sure.
And then if, listen, we can't control the future, but if they continue to, there are consequences to every decision, right? And they need to be aware of what those consequences are.
Can a ninth grader opt out?
You cannot opt out, no. I mean,
So-
theoretically, you don't have to sit for the test, but you just will not, you technically won't graduate. At some point before you walk out of here, at the end of your senior, you can take them all in one shot too. You can sit, we can have you sit for, as a junior, the 3 Englishes and the 3 or the 2 maths, depending on when you took algebra. We can certainly do that, but you have to have passed them
All 3 years.
all 3 years. The class, the group that's the sophomores is one of the 3. The group that's the freshmen is all 3.
So starting this year, you opt out 7th, 8th grade.
But I think parents need to know.
Yeah.
And that is practice also.
Yeah.
And you're fortunate, it's
Sure.
practice.
Whether or not it's part for the children right now in 7th and 8th grade, their ability to take graduation assessment.
And like we said, like we talked, with the park would be something else, probably with no opt-out option. Unless there are any questions.
No, I just wanted to say, I know you asked reasons why some people would opt out. I've opted my son out of it since it started, every year. And I explained to him, it's not because I don't want you to take a test, or I don't think you can take a test. That's not the point. The point is that the park was a federal curriculum, where it is a companion piece to the Common Core curriculum, which is complete argument. So, as a parent, obviously I don't have a say in the education administration, but I do have a say in what part I will advocate for. And I explained to my son, the 4th grade reading book he brought home was the worst thing I ever saw. It taught him to hate reading. I had to work all summer, part of the next year, to get him to actually enjoy reading the book again. If you have a chance, pick up that 4th grade Common Core reading. It is horrible. So opting out is the one voice we have as parents to say we don't support this mandated curriculum coming from halfway across the country that is not relevant for our kids, not engaging. So, I mean, the kids are reading books about kids in Mexico. Half the stories are about kids in Mexico in that 4th grade book. It's terrible. But that's the reasoning for opting out. It doesn't necessarily have to do with fear of the test or not wanting my kid to be stressed out. My kid would be fine with that, so I have no problem. The problem is, I have a problem with what the test is a piece of, and it's a protest against the whole thing. And obviously, I mean, the new governor seems to come forward, there's been enough public sentiment that they are working to undo that. And it's easy to say, well, there'll be some tests. Well, that's fine, but that test won't have the Common Core Journeys reading book as a piece of it, which affects our kids every day. The test is a few days at school. That's fine. But every day they're subjected to these learning materials geared towards the test that are terrible. That's the freedom we're getting back by getting rid of it. So I think, the tests, sure, standardized tests are fine. This one gives you nice pretty reports and good numbers. I know everyone's sad because we were free, but honestly, I don't care what that number is. I was happy with the education my kid was getting before I found out that we were free. And I think most parents would feel the same way. They weren't here flooding your meeting saying our school's a mess a month ago. No one felt that. I mean, I'm sure people don't feel that way now. They just don't understand the number of meetings and what impact it has. The fact that it gives us more funding is just kind of ironic. But it's not. I don't know. I mean, I'm coming to the meeting to listen. And
Can I just comment real quick? Because the one thing I want to say is, I understand where you're coming from. I just think there's a significant difference between Common Core standards and New Jersey core content standards. And whether you like the Journeys program or not, we could talk about that on a different level. But I think there's enough of a difference between what New Jersey expects and what Common Core is that I think that sometimes if you get an opportunity to put them together, you'd probably be surprised what New Jersey is asking for. So I think that sometimes where it's easy just to use the park as in Common Core too. And by the way, the U.S. Education Commissioner today said Common Core was garbage. I'm paraphrasing, but pretty much that's what she said. But I don't know that she specifically would pick a state's version of it and say, oh, New Jersey's is the same. So I think sometimes you have to take a look at what New Jersey's asking for, And if, by the way, if you didn't like the fourth grade, just let us know, because we could probably take a look at it and see specific. Because the last thing I ever want to hear is my son doesn't want to read anymore. No. And if seriously, if you've been on the curriculum committee, right, I will do anything to help you make sure your son wants to continue to read. So if you really believe that was prohibitive to him enjoying reading, let's have that conversation. Not necessarily right now, but Right.
But yeah,
So,
I'm sure that's fine.
and those are things we'll talk about when we have the meeting on the 20th.
No, I look forward to that. So, I mean, I just wanted to let you know,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not, there's reasons that go beyond, I guess, something like that.
We appreciate that, too.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate you saying that.
Thank you. Other, yes.
Yes. Even if the park goes away, correct me if I'm wrong, that doesn't necessarily come for, right? Or does that?
It does not mean that you, however, I think I don't know, Mr. Miller, I think in a lot of ways, that would be the expectation. So if you're not going to be testing the Common Core, why would you have it in place? So, which again, now we're talking about a whole different revision of things of that nature, but again, there's no direction at the moment for that.
Just a clarification on the attendance you specifically said about that. Was when they went on a field trip back on
Yeah, if you look, when you go into what the codes are, they relate to one or one before you state.
just as a funny aside.
Somebody could get 100%.
Dan, my son, didn't miss a single day last year except for Stokes, and he didn't get his name on the sign for public attendance. He was mad.
Thanks for that proof. That's perfect.
Okay, it's my impression, to make sure I understand this, it's my understanding this indicator score sheet, I totally get that.
Okay.
Am I correct in thinking that in somewhere hidden in the indicator score, that's where we were docked for non-participation? Okay.
I don't know what percentage of achievement this measure is.
Now, I'm looking for the overall school, not specific, like in language arts. It says percentage of students taking a test, 82.1%, but then it says percentage of testers met or exceeded expectations, 35.10. So if I'm reading that correctly, that does not count for the test. Because it says percent of testers.
Correct.
Okay, so I totally understand about how our school went down because of not participating in the test. I totally understand about the absenteeism, but to me, this still is horrendous. So of the people who took the test, only 35.1% met expectations in language arts, and as a comparison, the state percentage was 54.9%. And then on the math, only 22.3% of the people who took the test were proficient or met or exceeded expectations, and the state average was 43.5%. So your explanation doesn't account for why did they do that?
If you take the opt-outs, and this is the numbers I didn't want to go into, but because we have a very diverse group, even if you go down to our economically disadvantaged, our student with disabilities numbers, they, like 40% of our population maybe were within a subgroup of deaths. So it would be a student with disabilities, 25 kids with one opt-out. So the kids taking the test or a diverse background group, and maybe the best effort. That's best I can answer it.
So I think, Mr. Adair, I appreciate your point in a lot of ways, and I think where we started before we got any level of designation, or before we got any score, was recognizing that we needed to improve in certain areas. That was really the starting point before we even took a look at whether it's attendance rates or opt-outs or anything of that nature, and not knowing what the opt-outs, how the impact that they had. And I think that goes back to where as a school we were to begin the start of the year and adjusting a schedule and recognizing, hey, wait a second, we've got kids that are in a technology class twice as much as they are in a math class, or we have students that are in phys ed twice as much as they are in English language classes. So I think in a lot of ways we made some of the adjustments ahead of time before we even knew that what that designation was going to look like in a way. Because Chris will tell you, and I asked him just to not say how much we argue about this, but we look at it differently, and I actually look at it a little more in line the way you looked at it and said, okay, I understand about opt-outs and things like that, but we still have a population that we need to help improve their scores. But let me just finish that. Not improve their scores, but we need to improve the education to make sure that when they are testing, that I don't want to teach to a test, but if we're hitting those standards, they should perform well.
And the key was, when I first took over, was the discrepancy. When you go tech to PE, literally per day, PE was $51. You know what I'm saying? So we rebalanced that by increasing our math time dramatically. Language arts was doing double the amount of content time as math. We had grammar and reading in separate categories with two separate teachers. We made language arts, which was done right away. So this is effective 17, 18. This was not effective 16, 18, 16, 17. So when you look at the drastic changes where you found time, not only that, the more effectiveness of our teaching staff this year, not what on the quality, but just their time. We were doing, like the time allotted by content area, was doing a disservice to our math teachers. Our math teachers are getting so much less time to their counterparts in the state and to their counterparts in the school. So just that, to increase the time, I think we're going to got that
I just want to offer my perspective. I hardly ever do something and I help to come. I do like, I was aware of this before that letter, obviously, and I do thank you for recognizing you are trying to proactively make changes. And I think that it is good, like, I like how they have like 2 periods of math. That's very good. But not all of them know my family situation. I have 3 children, one's a freshman, 14, 12, and 10. I know that not all children are the same. I know that one shouldn't necessarily compare their children as well different. I get that. I do see problems with math that I did not see with my boys. Like, my general feeling is it's going downhill. And this may sound arrogant, but my husband and I were married 20 years, both with college education. We're not struggling financially. We're not in the party, but we have all these things going for us, so to speak. But my daughter tested, her scores were terrible. And I think everyone that's a teacher knows me. I make darn sure that I review her homework, she does her homework, I am on top of her, and she still scored terribly. And her class scored terribly, and they scored terribly compared with my son's class. So, and I'll give you an example, and I don't know how her school is now. When Ben was in 3rd Street School, the first day that spelling was keeping, they wrote each word 3 times. The next day they had to write a sentence, use 5 spelling words and sentences. The next day was 5 more. Okay. He hated it. He hated writing sentences. I did it back in the 70s. Fast forward to now, when Barry came to the 3rd Street School, it's this square. You had to pick 3 items to do, and it's, in my opinion, ridiculous things like write the spelling words in bubble language, or write it 1 time in pencil, 1 time in blue, 1 time in black ink.
It is very frustrating.
You need to be here more often.
So I am giving you my perspective. My oldest to my youngest is only a difference of 4 years, and I don't think it's coincidental that my daughter's grades scores have gone down and her class has gone down. When I see the content of it, she should have been writing sentences in 2nd grade instead of writing those darn spelling words in bubble letters.
Thank you. Thank you. Other comments, questions from the public?
And thank you.
No, absolutely. No, it's important. I think I'm just going to kind of put something out there. I know you had the meeting on the 28th, so we still have to go through our fact finding. But what I'd like to see, and I don't know how the other board members feel, is an action plan after the 28th meeting with like specific, like this is what we've discovered and this is what we plan to do moving forward. I mean, we can't go back, we can't undo whatever didn't happen, but we certainly moving forward, we should have a well-defined action plan and then some reporting out in terms of how effective that plan is. And does the plan need to be dialed in? Is it working? So if that's something maybe, I think we have a meeting on I was just looking at my calendar, I think March 20th would be our next meeting then, following the February 28th.
Sure.
So is that something that's doable, Chris?
Absolutely.
Okay. Thoughts, other thoughts, questions?
I just want to put something out there. I don't know if you had a chance to look. There is a detailed version of the report that breaks it out by grade. And the grades, I mean, there's a lot of variability as you go up and down. So, I mean, the results on this test don't show a steady decline. They rather show a very erratic, and that's going to happen in small classes. You know, some classes are strong, some are, you know, are a little weaker.
I don't know.
Fifth grade, for example, actually scored very well. I mean, actually the best out of any grade.
And I have a son in that class.
Well, that's why. But, you know, tell Patty that he's going to slap. I mean, so, you know, it's hard to say that necessarily. I'm not a fan of the little box with the bubble letters and stuff like that. And we could definitely push it a little bit. But, you know, there's a lot of variability in small classes. I'm not willing to say that things are going downhill precipitously, but, you know, I think we have to be sensitive to just the small groups.
On that comment, I do think that Madeline's class, according to this bar graph they have that acidic report, has a lower score quality compared to Amber's class. And my gut tells me, although I cannot back it up, Amber's class is unique because they are extremely small. There's only one class, a lot of them, as my understanding, pulled out as special needs. I think that these classes are anomaly. I can't back that up with that.
Okay. Other, Deb, you have a
Sorry,
comment?
It kind of sounds like in listening real quickly while I go through, the greater concern is not the park scores from, you know, those who go attending, but more curriculum weeks, it sounds. I guess I'm looking for you, am I correct? In terms of more of a curriculum weeks,
Yes.
opposed to scoring?
Yeah, it's definitely more, I'm much more concerned about the curriculum than
I mean, I'm hoping to come out of the meeting on the 28th with a nice group of parents, administration, teachers, so hopefully all the teachers will come and we get a nice group that we can start going through and figuring out every meeting. No, this is.
Well, that's
the
different.
action plan.
Anything else on this?
Now I can say it.
What, Marion?
I want to see the data.
Oh.
Now I can say it.
Right, right. Yeah, yes, Mr. Taka.
Books have always been a sort of topic, mainly the availability of books for students, the history books, math books. Majority of the time, now correct me if I'm wrong, and here's where my concern is that, and there's a comment that's relevant, I guess, starting college about, you know, well, doing homework, you know, about books. Are there books available for students to take home? Are the books just for in class? That's one of the concerns I would have. All right.
You mean textbook specific? Textbooks?
Well, like I mentioned, history books, math books, and so forth.
To my knowledge, every student should have access to a book and take it home. I mean, we put a lot of money into textbooks, so, yeah,
That's good for high school too.
yeah.
And I'm going to throw it out for what it's worth. Are there any books that students read within the school that don't make it home? And it kind of haunts me to this day, Superintendent. I know I brought it to your attention. I believe the book's name is Tweet, if you recall, which to say I was upset we couldn't gladly, sick to my stomach would probably be better. And I did bring up to your attention, you mentioned to me that it was an award-winning book. Saying it was pornography, mildly, triple X would be more along the line. And that's why I ask, you know, are there books that don't make it home that are just strictly here within the school that parents aren't aware of?
Not to my knowledge. I mean, you know,
And that's what it comes to mind because, again, one of the students had happened to get substitute teaching, kind of, you know, and it was brought up, and I did have an opportunity to, you know, produce a book that I had some stuff.
Well, I think we're going to go into an area of just personal opinion on that one.
You're right.
You know, and frankly, I read that book as a parent of 3 and made my kids all read that. Well, not my little one yet, but because he's only 11. Read that because, I mean, obviously, if you don't know the book, it's called Tweak. It's about a high school kid who turns into a major drug addict and what his life turned into as he went through it. And to me, it's while there are some parts of it that are certainly hard to read, there couldn't be a better life lesson on what it means to be a drug addict and more as a deterrent.
For a second,
Yeah.
so we're on the same page.
Yeah.
When you said that they're hard to read, what do you mean by that?
I think that they're, like, I don't want to call it pornography because I don't think it was certainly a sense of pornography, but when you're reading about what someone has to do to support their drug habit, it's not. It's real. I think that's a good way to say it, Don. It's real. It's real, and if you've known anybody, and certainly in my family we've had people that have gone through that, you know that it's real, and that's unfortunately what happens. But I don't think that we're sitting there not allowing it to go home so a parent could read it.
I see,
You know.
that's what I said to you.
Yeah.
I didn't know whether it went home or not, or it was just in school.
Yeah.
I'm just bringing it to the attention that, you know, that would be a concern for even parent.
Right.
That there's certain books, as Mr. Miller brought up about the idea about how to treat about Mexico and so forth. And I hate to, you know, to really wager my opinion, but I will, this whole idea about immigration and so forth, and Common Core, and about global warming / climate change. I've seen some material, very biased, from Weekly Reader to what have you. And to say indoctrination, again, maybe that's my own.
I just think you're going down a political avenue, and I don't think our goal in any way is to indoctrinate anybody into anything. Whether you agree with immigration or not, I don't know that. Our goal is not to sit there and teach the kids one way or the other. It's to really present almost the middle ground of it. My opinion is I don't think we in any way slant it to try to get kids to buy into one political party or another. I think in a lot of ways we as educators, our job is to present what reality is once they walk out the doors.
I didn't think about party unit.
Yeah.
I'll leave it at that.
No, but I think in a lot of ways, your conversation's going there though, and how we teach things and certainly like that. I'm not trying to argue with you. I'm just saying, you know, we're trying to present a well-rounded education.
Mr. Taka, one last comment.
One last comment.
Quickly.
Yes. If a parent wanted to, could they get a copy of the curriculum?
Absolutely, it's all online.
Classes?
Absolutely, it's online. And in fact, and I've had conversations with members of this board. If you're not comfortable with your student or child reading something or doing something in class, we will absolutely make an alternative assignment. We will not force them to read anything. So, and that's been since day one. And we've had people with extremely strong religious convictions that have come in front of this board and asked questions, and we have absolutely modified anything. If a parent's offended or it's not something they believe or teach, we absolutely will modify it.
Fair enough.
I think the last year was Pilgrim's Progress.
Right.
Okay, we're going to close comments from the public. Was there any board members that had anything they want to add? We're done. Yeah, yes, we're done with. Yeah.
Yeah, the longest superintendent's report ever. Go ahead.
I want to get back to the superintendent, and not necessarily the report, but you sent us out a weekly update about an incident that happened here. I'm interested in what the discipline was. Is it something that we have a set policy?
Yes.
Or is it discretionary by the?
Technically both. I'm not going to say in a public session what that was. Feel free to give me a call. I'll be happy to talk to you.
You good with that, Rob? Okay. Other comments?
I understand why I don't want to say that publicly.
Other comments or questions about the superintendent's report? Do we have a motion on items 1 through 8 policy?
Motion.
Second. Discussion. Brian, these are all first readings. Is there anything you want to add?
No. I did have some technical, verbiage nothing substantive.
Just cleaning up language.
I did, and, you know, I'd like to know who's on the policy committee with me, by the way, when we get a chance.
Yeah, we actually have the update on policy.
Okay.
Yeah, because I did make some changes. Bob, I was able to honor most. I sent you back an email. I don't know if you saw my response. And Michelle, I made some changes, and I want to talk with you after the board meeting now, because I took you off one committee. I want to make sure you're comfortable with that. And if anybody else is interested in having changes to their policy assignments, they should let me know. But I asked Lorette, I don't know if she had a chance to put it together. I sent her an email.
Put it in your.
Brian, I think I'm on policy now.
It's in what? It's in, oh, is it here?
Is that written on top?
No,
Is that one?
this is my old one.
It
Is
was
it?
stuff I handed you.
Oh, I didn't realize.
You want
Okay.
that? Last one?
I didn't know it was in, okay. So here we go. Here we go. So we're going to go through this quickly. Finance, Doc, you're the chair. With Deb Furman, Dave Rader, and Brian Smith on finance. And Michelle,
Can I stay on finance?
you'd like to stay on finance? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That would be okay. That would be fine, because what we can't have is a 6-member committee, because that won't work. Okay, so Michelle will go on also.
She was there tonight.
Okay, good. Policy, Brian's the chair. John Lucas, Dave Rader, tag. Okay. Negotiations, Don's chairing, thank you very much. Michelle, Mr. Blum, Glenn. Liaison, Brian. Committee of 1. Now, is that liaison, is that supposed to be part of our harmony liaison?
No,
or-
it's
That's different, that's
it's
with the
association.
with the association, that's what I thought.
They don't do it during negotiation.
Yeah,
You got a year off.
We never meet. And then when it's negotiation time, we definitely don't meet. Right? So it's almost like.
there you go.
But as far as policy goes, and I'll follow up with Lorette, that when she sends a set, they need to go to Tad, Mr. Rader, and Mr. Lucas.
Okay. Okay, good. Personnel, Deb, you're the chair. Doc, Bob Blum, John Lucas, and Glenn. And curriculum, Tag, you're the chair. Bob Blum, Don Mitchell, and Michelle. So, Michelle, you want to stay on? Would you like to stay on curriculum as well? Okay, very good. Okay. So we'll get this out with the next package. It's pretty much, I think it's pretty current at this point. Good.
I'll let know that one change and have her distribute.
Yeah, I just made
You
a.
want to put Marianne on the committee?
Oh, Mary Ann. How could I, Mary Ann? Keeping me honest. What are your,
I would like curriculum again. How many you got there?
we can do that.
What else you got that doesn't have,
Negotiations.
I would go back on that, but somebody needs to verify that I can. Now that Maureen's in the WEA.
Yeah, you probably
Probably
cannot.
can't.
You may be,
You might be
you
conflicted.
might be
No, she
conflicted.
does live in Morris Plains, or Scotts
She
Plains.
doesn't go to the house. She got picked.
I don't know, so somebody needs to verify.
I will confirm that.
Okay.
I'll get an answer on that one. It's good.
Okay.
If I could, I would do it again.
Okay, Mary Ann. So I'm gonna put a question mark next to you for that, and we'll confirm.
How many were on personnel? Did you have?
Right now we have 5, so that would be a problem. Yeah,
And you had 5 on finance.
5 on finance. Let me see.
Liaison committee.
Oh, go with Brian for the year.
That's all right.
That says you can take them off
What's that?
one. That says you can take them off one.
Oh, really? We may make some adjustments
So,
there.
yeah, see what's wrong.
Okay, all right. But this is a good starting point.
And like I said, check and see about the,
Oh, I gotta know now. I'll
she
find out.
doesn't live with me, but she is in the,
I think it's going to be a conflict, but
I think it's a conflict as well, that's why I'm throwing it out
we'll
there.
get a definite confirmation.
Okay, all right, very good. Thank you, Marion. Okay, where does that leave us?
That leaves us making a motion in a second to approve. the
Yeah,
policy.
thank you. Do we, discussion? Any discussion on policy? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions?
I'm going to abstain from that.
Okay, Mary. On personnel, items 9 through 12. And do we have an add-on, which I don't even know where I put the add-on now.
Yep, 12.
12B. Do we have a motion and a second?
Motion.
Second. Discussion.
Just very quickly, number 12, the title of school safety specialist. Excuse me, that's, Justin McKinney served as the district HIB coordinator. That's just a title change via the state. So same position, different title.
So, did Mr. Devon,
No.
No?
I was going to say, you're going to have to start knowing this again now.
No, she kept that alive and well, don't worry.
Okay.
Yes. The answer
I
is
don't like
no.
it now.
Yeah, the
Thank
answer
you.
is no.
Other discussion.
Number 9.
9
Retirement with regret.
with regret.
With regret.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Oh, no, I'm sorry. Roll call.
Mr. Vaughn?
Yes.
Mrs. Pepino? Yes. Dr. Zeppet?
Yes.
Mrs. Furman?
Yes.
Mr. LeVar?
Yes.
Mr. Lucas?
Yes.
Mr. Metla?
Yes.
Mr. McInerney?
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Mr. Rader?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yep.
Mrs. Steph?
Yes.
On education, items 13 and 14, giving a motion. Second.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion?
Just for my own sanity, can I say those folks?
I beg your pardon?
Just for my own sanity, can I say those folks?
No, you can't.
Who was the motion? I'm sorry.
Who motioned and who seconded?
Brian made the motion.
I seconded.
Deb. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Excuse me, on business, items 15 through 20, can we get a motion?
Motion.
And a second?
22?
22, pardon me. On the motion through 15 through 22.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion.
Item 16, what is a semi-waiver?
Semi is the, I think we discussed it a couple times. It's the,
Yep.
I know this pretty well,
from,
actually.
You want to take it over?
Yeah, I could. Do you want me to take it over?
my
So-
thoughts just didn't come to me.
Yeah, that's okay. I know this because we deal with this in my non-school board life. So semi is where you can apply for when a district is providing Medicaid-related ancillary services like therapies. There's a process where you can apply for
Reimbursement.
an additional reimbursement on top of the Medicaid rate, because the Medicaid rates are so suppressed for the services that you're providing for the student. They're not even close to what the actual costs are of doing business. However, you can apply for a waiver if it's a significant administrative burden to go through all the paperwork to collect, but still what is a very minute amount of money.
So if there's fewer than 40 eligible students that they estimate, then you can go for a waiver. We have waived most years, however,
We waived last
2 years
year.
ago, we were not able to waive, so we did go through the process, and we were not, I don't think we even were able to collect 50% of what they estimated that we could, and it is a very gruesome process for the child study team to go through. So this year.
With very little
as well as
return.
next year. Right, we've been able to go back to the waiver.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Could someone explain 22 and what the
Sure.
effect that will be? I see there's a return.
I cannot
There was a
explain
return
it.
of money. There was a $3 per head.
The Skyline Foundation precedes me, so,
I see it was
It's been around for like-
1992.
right, so it's always been there, I've never seen him done with it, but we do a report out of every business, or school business administrator meeting. But the money's not being utilized, and it's just been stagnant for all this time.
How much
So,
money?
Belvidere's portion, I believe, is around $1,500. So we need to pass this motion, send it in, and then they send us a check, and they're trying to close the account out by the end of January.
Okay.
And then where would those funds go?
We can discuss. I haven't thought through it.
Okay.
I just I was at the meeting today.
Yeah,
about the-
that's what I'm thinking.
He's just trying to get the money back right now.
They wanted to close that by the end of January. I was there today, so I emailed Lorette to please stick it on tonight.
So we've had some discussion about trying to cobble together potential sources of money for an educational
That,
foundation.
this could be an option.
Yeah.
That was gonna be my question, whether legally we're allowed to take this money and use it as sort of tiny seed money for our own foundation.
It could be a possibility, I would say.
Okay.
Thank you, Brian. Other questions? All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions?
I'll abstain on 20 minutes from now.
Okay. Thanks,
I
Mr.
abstained on 18, 19, and the December 13th portion of 20.
Continuing business? The only item, I have one item to report back. So from our December board meeting, we met and went into executive session to discuss the online feedback for Chris's evaluation. So I've compiled all that in terms of his evaluation, and my plan is to have it all out to all of the non-conflicted board members for their review. Hopefully I'll have it out by this weekend. That's my goal. I know we're way behind. I apologize. I've apologized to Chris several times on this because he has a right to be evaluated. It's responsibility of the board, so it will get done. And again, we're behind, but at least it will be done. Shelley?
The Finance Committee met tonight. We went over the first draft of the balanced budget for 18-19. Do you want to report or do you want me to continue?
Sure. Without going into specific numbers on the budget, since it is a preliminary budget, one of the concerns that we have is a decreased enrollment. We're going to actually drop about 40 students from sending districts, which means that our income from tuition will decrease in this year. And so we do have cuts. There are a couple of faculty positions that are being eliminated. There's a retirement. And as far as maintenance, we are deferring a couple of items. And even with that, our budget is actually going to decrease from last year by about 1%. But with all of the cuts that we've made in our budget, we are proposing a 1.5% tax increase with the budget. And of course, we don't have bottom line figures yet, Shelley's still working on that. There are some other cuts that could possibly come in. And so we'll wait to get that. But the biggest concern that I had, of course, was the fact that our income would be reduced so drastically. You know, we were thinking about $14,600 tuition times 40, that's a lot to make up in the budget, especially when you're talking about a $12 million budget.
Yeah. Shelley, you want to add anything further?
That was definitely the gist. I mean, a lot of the analysis that I've been working on is definitely tuition related. Tuition that we're charging for 17-18 is $14,400. You see that going up quite a bit due to the 40 projected students less for next year. And we're also very concerned with the higher tuition rate that we'll probably have for 17-18, as well as what we had in 16-17 from capital projects that we had to endure with our HVAC going down. Those expenditures hit the actuals during the year that they're incurred. So that's where they hit the tuition cost. So we're trying to really keep our tuition in line the best we can. That's what we're working on.
Brian?
Sean, just a couple of points. Doc said we're proposing a 1.5% increase. I wouldn't say we're proposing it. That's certainly in the first draft. But I think all bets are off as to what we're doing with that, right? I mean, that's what's in the draft. And
in the preliminary
we got to work
budget.
on numbers correct.
Okay.
The second thing is that Shelley made the point in our committee meeting that even with the loss of personnel, our objective is not to lose the electives that go with that position. So I thought that's important for the board to know as well as the public.
Okay. So there may be some changes though in terms of there may have to be some reduction in services. Okay. When's the next finance meeting, Sean? Is it scheduled?
I did not look at the calendar.
No.
I'll send something out.
Okay.
The budget address is not on February 27th.
Right,
It's
right
going
now
to be in.
it's looking for March 13th. It hasn't been completely approved yet as an adjustment, but the
So
whole
that'll
budget
move
calendar.
all of these dates that were on the December 21 memo, it's going to be pushed back, and I guess we'll have some relief as far as when we get the budget to the
There's an
state.
assumption that we'll have some relief. It may not be the 2 weeks, but as soon as I get that, I will let you know.
Typically, when there's a new governor, that first year, they give as much headroom as they can to the new governor and OMB, and he has a whole new team assembled. So they need more time to try to look at revenue projections and try to come up with some solutions. Okay. Other questions on that? No? New business? Any new business? Chris, I think we're going to be talking about the St. Luke's proposal at the next
We are,
meeting.
yeah.
Okay.
But Chris, we're pretty sure that's going to be a proposal at the next meeting?
Could you talk up, Chris?
Week of February 5th, we're going to get together with St. Luke's just to make sure the financials all match up with Shelley and with them. And we're going to talk with their occupational, which will be the drug testing piece and all that. So they're going to bring their team in just to make sure we're all on the same page. But the contract's done, the proposal's done. We pushed it back because the contract was meeting when we're ready to go.
Okay. Thank you. Questions on that?
What is that?
What's that?
What is it? What are we talking about? We said drug testing.
So St. Luke's is off giving us a proposal. We've been back and forth with St. Luke's for a few years. We've been
Yeah,
putting on the board.
drug testing, that's a new piece though.
Yeah, so we're hopefully moving in a direction where they're going to take care of all of our medical needs, and so I'll give you. It'll be easier if you have a copy of the proposal in front of you rather than me trying to run through it. So I'll give you a copy of the proposal, and then I'll email it to you, and then 5-minute phone call, and we can go through it all.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. So you also need a Chromebook. We're trying to do everything electronically.
We've
I mean, I have to try to get back to my Belvidere email because
Yes.
I never was able to get to it.
The answer to that is yes.
Exactly.
I say it, our attorney says it.
Yeah. Any other new business? We're at the point in our agenda for our second public participation. Comments or questions?
Very quickly.
Yes.
I just wanted to say one of my concerns in coming here was that I was anticipating there possibly being a knee-jerk reaction to some of our store ratings and changes being made. I'm glad to see that doesn't seem to be the case. Great. As far as the bigger picture, I really love the changes for this year. So please keep them going. Keep them a good shot. And I know the activity period. I heard some rumblings. Some of those might be hijacked for supplementary. Pump the brakes.
Bump the brakes.
Could you come by once a day and just say that to him?
Any other? Yes, Heather.
We always are in the top 5% on science. I do not understand that.
Thank you. Thank you. Anything else? Do we have a motion to adjourn? Second. Have a good evening, everyone.
I was afraid my computer's going to die.
Shall you have to sign these?
That's a first, right?